When you clearly don't work somewhere, but people seem to think you do. Welcome to this episode of I Don't Work Here, Lady. Our first one is from Lazy Appearance 5919. My wife and I are sitting at Walmart having a heated exchange with the invisible forces that keep raising the price on butter when we hear this dude yelling from further down the dairy aisle. We use all our cunning to pretend like we're super interested in the cottage cheese so we could sneak close. Now, of course, I missed what had happened initially, but the guy had yelled, "I don't work here!" So of course, I thought I was about to see some Karen moment happening between he and this tiny woman he was facing down. Instead, the woman says, "I understand you don't work here. I just thought maybe you would reach the milk for me, but if you can't, that's fine." Instead of acknowledging her request, the guy goes, "What makes you think I work here? I don't work here!" She apologizes for upsetting him and then begins to climb her 5'0" self up the side of the dairy case in an effort to get to some of the almond milk. Luckily, an associate quickly scuttled over and grabbed her the milk. But this dude can't let it rest. He actually demands the actual employee tell her he doesn't work there. For his part, the employee must have heard what was happening, because even he said, "No one's saying you work here, sir. I think she just thought you'd help because you're tall." "Well, I don't work here, so I don't have to," he rebuttals. "Yes, that's fine," the employee says before excusing himself from this moron. The woman thanks the worker, and even as she's walking away, the guy's still fuming. I expected him to keep yelling, but he storms off. I felt sort of sad that no one had called the manager. Like, I thought I'd finally witnessed the level of BS people are always talking about on here. Instead, from the second I got home, I've been watching this subreddit, eagerly expecting this dude to make a post where he lied his ass off and I could call him out on it. Well, that didn't seem to happen, so I thought I'd post it myself. Also, before anyone asks, both he and this woman were clearly white, so I doubt this was a racial thing. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked by people, men and women, to assist them getting something off of a shelf just because I happen to be tall. And you know what? I have no problem doing that because I feel like if I were in the same situation, I'd really hope somebody would help me. A lot of people just don't live life with the golden rule of treat others the way you want to be treated, and it's evident in this story. This next one is by One Impression 9465. I live in a rural farming town, and this happened at the local feed store. Think like Tractor Supply, but a mom and pop owned version. I went in to get my usual stuff, chicken feed, dog food, etc., and had my 5-year-old daughter with me. She's looking at the horse riding equipment as she is dying to start lessons. I walk over and we start discussing what she likes and what she needs to start when a lady comes over and just starts talking about horses. I admittedly know nothing, but assumed she was just an excited fellow equestrian who overheard my daughter and I. Then she starts asking for recommendations on stuff, and I admit I'm no expert, and she might need to ask someone else. This lady gave me the dirtiest look and went on and on about how employees should be knowledgeable about their products. Completely oblivious to what she was hinting at, I give a polite chuckle and say, "Yeah, the family that owns this place is great. They would be more help than me." She again suggests that employees should be knowledgeable about their products in the store and asks me for a specific type of rein. And I again suggested getting someone else, as I'm just here with my daughter picking up a few things. She looks down at my daughter and back up at me and says, "I didn't know the feed store doubled as a daycare. You shouldn't be allowed to bring such a small child to work." Absolutely dumbfounded, I say I don't work here and I'm just letting my daughter get her excitement out by looking at the products in the aisle we were in. Again, I suggest asking an actual employee because the family who owns the shop is terrific and has been in business for decades. With a very snotty look, she says, "I know you work here. I've seen you here almost every time I come in. You must be having a day off, but you could at least help me." I ducked out of the conversation to chase my daughter who wandered off and get checked out. As I'm leaving the store and giving county gossip with the clerk, who is a friend of mine, the lady walks up and complains about how unprofessional I am and how even for a family business, small children shouldn't be allowed to join employees on their shift. The clerk looks at her like she's plumb dumb and tells her, "Our customers are welcome to bring their children in. I don't know why they wouldn't be allowed." The lady still does not get it and just huffs some more about how we're lying to her. I picked up my hat and have it loaded in the truck, and as I'm driving off, this lady flipped me the bird. I'm still confused how someone who frequents the only feed store in the county, that's been running for decades, and thinks there's some wild conspiracy going on about me working there. Gave me a good chuckle though. I feel like this is the kind of lady that just cannot ever accept she's wrong. She could have the proof on paper, she could have photographic evidence that shows she's wrong, and she would still deny it, still think there's some massive conspiracy, because unfortunately, there's some people who just can't handle the truth. And our final one is from Monkey Bullet. I've lived in the US since 1991. Originally from Taiwan, and spent years working in a corporate office where I wore a suit daily. I often visit a small, family-owned Chinese restaurant in the neighborhood as part of my routine. It's a mom-and-pop place where I feel comfortable and known, and one particular incident there stuck with me. One evening, after work, I decided to stop by to order some takeouts for dinner. I placed my order at the counter and stood near the entrance, waiting for my food. The mother who had taken my order returned to the kitchen to prepare it, while the husband worked as the chef. Their two young kids were seated in a booth doing their homework. As I stood there in my suit, 4 people walked in. With a raised hand, the older woman barely glanced at me and signaled 4 fingers while announcing, "4 people for dinner." I turned to her and quickly realized what was happening. She thought I worked at the restaurant. I smiled and politely said, "Sorry, I don't work here." She looked at me, puzzled, and asked, "What do you mean?" At this point, I was getting a little annoyed by her persistence, so I replied more firmly, "I don't work here, I'm just here to pick up my dinner." Undeterred, she raised her voice slightly and doubled down. "I've seen you here before, you work here." I shook my head, keeping a polite but forced smile, and responded, "Sorry, I never worked here, but I guess we all look alike." At that moment, one of the little girls doing her homework let out a small laugh. Just then, the mother came out with my food. I thanked her and left without giving the rude woman another glance. As I walked out, I heard the little girl telling her mom what had happened. I swear, the way people carry themselves, it's as if they don't think and then they say things that in their mind makes 100% complete sense, but to everybody that's seeing it, is just shaking their head. I feel like that's how this woman carries herself through life, running on assumptions instead of facts. Alright, that's enough stories for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of I Don't Work Here Lady. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.